Hello people and welcome to the Grim Case Files, Greece. This one we're doing on the Minotaur. Now for those who don't know, let me a little bit about this myth. Like I said, this is one of the cases he wanted us to investigate. The Minotaur was born when Poseidon decided to take revenge on King Minos. And this little island we were going to was next to Crete. So, hear me out. It's because of his disobedience. He did not sacrifice a beautiful white bull. The god Minos' wife, to the god, Poseidon. Now, here's the thing. There was the king of Crete basically wanted to win a contest. So he asked Poseidon to give him a white bull, and he would sacrifice it after he won. So he won the kingship. He didn't sacrifice it. It was so beautiful. So King Poseidon made his wife Philosophe, P-A-S-I-P-H-A-E, made her fall in love with a white male bull. She dressed up. First, if I remember correctly, it didn't want nothing to do with her. Nothing at all. She was a human. She dressed up as a cow. As a female cow. Then the cow rode that thing all day, I suppose. I don't know. She soon had a child, the Minotaur. Well, he did not want to piss off Poseidon again, so he decided against killing it. He hired Asturias. He hired people to build this thing. Delius and his son Icarus. You know who I'm talking about, Icarus. It served as a prison for the horrible creature, the labyrinth did. We all know this. According to Greek mythology, the great hero Theseus entered the labyrinth and managed to kill the Minotaur, and also found his way out. So, yeah, that happened. Well, see, this guy that wanted us to do this was basically a rich man in Greece and a rich man around the world. He was $1 million man. He had investments on this island and in the shipping company that was being disturbed by Syria. Sky. You know what I'm talking about. The first adventure. And on his island, well, his daughter was living there. And she was one of the people that he had gotten her that had gotten this. Now, this needed to be a man who, the minute, the minute, correctly, the Minotaur was, or was he? No, we don't know what he was doing. We don't know. All we know is that on the sound, we must be that the woman was the guy who hired his daughter. He wanted this thing. One, he wanted pictures of it. Two, he wanted it dead. Or something showing that it was either his head or a horn, whatever. He wanted it dead. Now, we have heard from these people that this creature, this Minotaur, was coming out of a cave at night and kidnapping women. they would go out and go for the women, find the women, and the men would kill them. Right? Was is that as soon as these women were found, well, one was found alive. She had crawled out the back of the cave. She was not in good shape. She told them that she was raped consistently for 3 nights. And the only way that she got out was that he was done with her. Usually he would kill the other women after he was done with them. That's why they were not finding any of the women. So, what me and Jim were going to do, we were going to set up cameras outside the cave, front and back. Once we got evidence of this creature, we were to tell the local authorities to call the man that was going to send people. So, he had kidnapped someone. This time, he had kidnapped someone, a woman, of course, and she was probably being raped as we spoke. So, we knew he wouldn't be back for another 5 days. That's what we did. We put up cameras. I went around back, put up cameras around the back where the second entrance was. Jim put cameras around the front entrance. Now, Jim heard the screams of the woman as I did. We couldn't let this go on for another 3 days. It had been 2 days ago. We weren't about to let this continue. Jim had his pistol, I had my kukri. I went in the back, Jim went in the front. The whole thing was Jim was to get his attention and I was to pull the woman out the back. Did not work that way, by the way. So, as soon as we got into the entrance, I got closer and closer to the woman, and he was on top of her. Jim got closer, deeper in the cave, and I clicked my flashlight twice. That was to tell Jim to go back, or to get its attention. Jim fired off 5 shots. The creature looked around, got off the woman, and ran straight towards the shots. I drug the woman out, raped victim out, and got her near the shore. And then I called Sarah to tell them to bring people here quickly. They brought a couple of people and some police officers. Perfect timing. I heard a thud and 2 shots. Jim was in trouble. So I ran in there without thinking, leaving the woman there, and Jim had him on the other side of the cave in front of the cameras. Now, I continued to run. I pulled out my kukri and I cut at the back of its knee as quickly and as hard, chopped at the back of its knee as quickly and as hard as I could. It went down to 1 knee. Jim started shooting it a couple more times, did nothing. It's like bullets were hitting him, but it was not stopping him. He turned around, looked at me, and picked me up with one hand and threw me about a good 5 feet away. It was hurting because it was bleeding pretty badly. Jim shot it a couple more times before he was tossed aside. It was in pain because we could hear it. But the adrenaline was going so hard, he was breathing heavily. I didn't know what was going to happen or who was going to get what. But it walked closer to Jim because I guess Jim got up and started shooting again. I was a little bit shaken. As it knocked Jim to the ground, I saw it raise up the foot that wasn't wounded, put pressure on the one that was, and it went down. Hard on the knee that I'd cut at. It was bleeding heavily because I could see it. The blood from where I was at gleaming off the sand. It was like crystals on a pond during the winter. All I knew to do was to rush at it and give it one more whack. Not at its leg, but at its neck. I did that just as I rose at the cookery, ran at it, and just as I rose at the cookery, it got up, slowly got up to its knee, and I cut at its hand. Cutting its hand off as hard, chopping at its hand as hard as I could. The hand came off at the joint. It looked at me, to turn, to grab me with his other hand. Jim shot it 5 times in the head. Turns attention to Jim and again fell down on its knee, grabbing its hand. Just as I got closer to it, to cut its head off, it tried to rise again. It couldn't. This thing at that point was in so much pain, even the adrenaline rush was not going to help it. I swiftly cut its head off with my cookery as hard, swung it as swiftly as I could and cut off its head. It fell to the ground dead. Me holding his head in my hand. With one horn, breathing heavily and still injured from being cut across the chest, my wounds opened up again. I was pretty much a lot of pain. And winded. After, it's a little fuzzy from here. I must have passed out because of the pain. Being knocked against the rocks and still a little bit dizzy from hitting them and getting knocked back again. I was pretty much in a lot of pain at that point. They woke me up, and the man who hired us was looking at me and telling me good job, and he handed me one of the horns as a memento for the job that we did. A job that we didn't have to do, but it needed to be done. Jim was in pretty much a lot of pain as well for being knocked down so many times and nearly crushed to death. He was a lot of pain, but we had another job. On to the next and the last in Greece. Thank God. I want to go home.